when we did our.
Hi.
Here we are. Hey,
I bet you
surprise.
nobody expected that.
No, they don't expect that, or the Spanish Inquisition.
Nobody's here. We can say whatever we want.
Here we are. Hey,
I bet you
surprise.
nobody expected that. I'm hearing myself. Is that
Don't
because of
expect
me or
that,
because of
the
y'all?
Spanish. That would be because of you. Here we are. Hey,
I bet you
Hey.
nobody expected that. I'm hearing myself. Is that because of me or because of y'all?
That would be because of you.
All right.
Here we are. Hey,
I bet you
Hey.
nobody expected that.
tell that Jim guy.
I'm
to
hearing
shut up.
myself. Is that because of me or because of y'all?
That would be because of you.
It's a good thing we went early.
Hey,
I bet you
Hey.
nobody expected that.
tell that Jim guy.
I'm
to
hearing
shut up.
myself. Is that because of me or because of y'all?
That would be because of you.
It's a good thing we went early.
Hey,
It's not because of me.
tell that Jim guy.
I'm hearing myself. Is that because of me or because of y'all?
Gee, if I mute you, it goes away.
Myself. Is that because of me or because of y'all?
Okay, folks, I don't know what's going on. These two are muted. I'm the only one with a live mic right now. If I open up their mics, we start to hear the repeat. Oh, AP, you got it fixed? What's going on? These two are muted. I'm the only one with a live. Nope. Jim, do you have it fixed? I can't unmute you. Hello,
think-
Jim.
I think we were fine.
Yeah, we were fine all along. Good thing we went early.
It was when the attending Elmer came in.
Shooter ready,
Man.
stand by. We need an inverse tachyon pulse.
I'm telling you. Good Lord. Hey, good evening, y'all. How are you?
My microphone screw up has a first name. It's SMOKIN.
Right? Right.
I don't know. So there was nothing in the lineup. We decided to go a little bit early. Our guest isn't going to be here until the allotted time segment like we have planned upon.
Well, I
Maybe a
told
little
him,
bit
I
early.
said-
I don't know.
I told him, I said, we're usually there by quarter till, sometimes a little earlier. So,
So y'all caught me eating dinner.
okay. Ape, have you? I don't think he's figured it out yet. He's going to
He's
drop some
furiously
swear
typing.
words. He's going to drop some swear words in a minute.
Good afternoon, Clay.
Afternoon, all y'all. 45.
All right, there was some
Auto.
trickery. There's some trickery
Oh.
going on. It's fixed now.
Oh, drop it back. Son.
Hey,
drop it
good,
back.
good evening, Frank. Welcome to the show. Tank Radio.
Sweet baby Jesus.
It's like playing cards with my brother's kids.
I think it was To that did it. To be honest with you, because when I was muted, it was still doing it.
You had created a loop in subspace in your own local space time. I think.
Nope.
Well, what I was going to say is,
Impossible.
oh, whatever. You were playing with electronics earlier. I think you might have crossed the stream.
Stuffing too much solder.
That's it.
Speaking of that, I got a kit in the mail today.
What you get?
It's this little old teeny old. You'll never be able to see. It's signal generator.
Let me
Nice.
dig in you. I thought you had one already.
I do, but this is a different kit. This is the NE555.
I'm trying. It's not giving me the big button.
Well, that's the wrong button.
There we go. Let's do that one. Okay.
It's not bad.
Well, I got it off of AliExpress, and it was probably $4.
Oh, well,
And
that's worth
I
it.
figure I could use
Worth
the
every penny.
soldering. Yeah, I figure I could use the soldering experience. And then I have not done a kit like this one that has an IC with a 555 IC on it. So at least I don't remember doing one with a 555 on it. So anyhow,
Well,
just got
the
this.
The Pixie had the LM386 though, right? I mean, the IC's an IC.
It did.
About the same size.
386
did.
is an audio amplifier. The
Well, I know they're
555
not
is a
the-
timer.
I know. I mean, they're.
You
About
did
the
just
same
say the
size.
opposite.
I meant size. Oh my lord, size wise.
Who
But
said
I
an
got
IC
the,
is an IC? No.
The other one
Gotta
I
put it
had
in
a
the socket.
380 in it. So I'm not worried about the size of it. I just wanted to play around with a different chipset. So that is that's why I got it.
Steve put a kit in our Discord today that I thought was pretty cool. And that tuner,
Me?
was that you that dropped that? Yes.
What?
No. Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
N7 DDC, the guy that brought the ATU 10 and the ATU 40 and the ATU 100, has an ATU 500, and it's cheap as chips. It's like $160 on sale today. Fantastic. I guess I'm teasing y'all. I need to drop a link somewhere. Let me see if I can find the thing.
Well, I was gonna say put a picture up there.
I gotta.
And what is the over under on it being cloned on Banggood and sold?
I think
with
it already
substandard
is.
parts?
Probably.
So the link that I have is from DL2MAN, who is the True SDX maker.
Yeah.
So I know that he is going to make an authentic version of it. That's not what I wanted to do. That's
Here we go. Here we go. So did you see what are you doing? Did you see Adam's video earlier with the True SDX?
I didn't see it. I was on the road, but I know what he's talking about.
So he had to do some modifications to attenuate the phone jack coming out and then use an amp to amp it back up. And I was wondering, is there a different pin or a different audio out on that Arduino that's inside of there that he could tap off of and just use a port that doesn't need to be attenuated and amplified? Or can he just take that signal and feed it into a chip with like an amplifier chip and can just control it that way? Because to me, that little dongle they put on there, while it's awesomely cool, it seems that it's fragile. It introduces an element of fragility.
So there's a couple of weird things going on with the True SDX. Not bad things, just weird things. First off, you don't get the True SDX because it is an amazing, awesome, all-powerful 705 killer. It's right. The magic in the True SDX is the fact that he's got an 8-bit microprocessor hooked up to an oscillator, hooked up to a couple of BS-170s, doing something it should never, ever do. It's more of a work of art that does radio as opposed to a radio that is seriously going to get you out of a jam when you need it or win contests or things like that. It's kind of like making a Commodore 64 into an HF rig.
You can do it, but why would you do it?
The Commodore 64 is 1 megahertz and the Arduino is 20 megahertz.
Well, yeah, a lot of people talk about that being 8 bits, and that's why with the DAC and all that, you don't get the quality of sound that you should. So I think that's what I'm saying. I don't necessarily know if an attenuator and an amplifier or the cleanest way to manipulate that signal coming out of the Arduino. I just don't know. So what I was wondering is there a cleaner, a way that would be less degrading on the audio?
So according to Manuel, you don't need any of that. You just need straight audio cables. So Adam might have found something. Because Manuel has a demo of FT8 without any fancy mumbo jumbo. All Manuel has to do, the microphone cable is also the CW key. So you have to rewire the microphone cable. I've ordered some cables. When they get here, I'll make a video for y'all sharing out how to do that. But basically you take the left and right and you put them on the ring, and then you unmarry the tip so that you get the audio signals stereo into mono. And then there's no shorting, so it's not going to like CW key the thing. And then you run it off of Vox.
Vox as well.
Yeah, so this thing is so tight on processor specs, performance-wise, that cat control overwhelms it. It's actually difficult to get cat control working. The unit that I have, cat control, no bueno.
How is he doing cat? There he is right there. How is it on cat control? Like does it have a port for that, or?
It has a micro USB port. Hey, Derek's here. It has a micro USB port on the side, and you can actually power it off of the micro USB and get about 1.5 to 3 watts of audio of RF out of it. And then it will emulate a Kenwood TS450 or TS480 as the rig.
We started early. There was no one on the schedule, Derek. So we're live. Don't.
Oh,
no,
hi everybody. Surprise.
Hey, Derek. Good to see you again.
How you doing? You guys have a swear jar, right?
We do. Can you fill it real quick?
No problem.
We have been known to occasionally drop the random colorful metaphor.
So yeah, the audio chain on that thing is not the best. It's not the worst, but again, it's a work of art more than it is a serious business class radio.
I don't know if I call it a work of art.
What's the cost on that thing?
It's like $80. It's like $80.
Yeah. For the kit. I think the from his official store on AliExpress is like $125 assembled.
That's the plastic one, not that micro SDX one.
Well, somebody's got to introduce Derek over here and find out. Do you go by your government name, or do you have something else that you prefer?
Secret name. Bud.
Just
you know,
plain old Derek, I guess, is what's going around on the
Plain old-
internet.
Plain old Derek. All right. Hey, Mr. Plain Old. How are you?
plain old.
How you
Guys,
guys
I'm
this
doing?
is
Dad.
Derek. I'm going to say your name probably wrong, Derek. Broder?
Broder.
Broder. See, I
Yep.
told you I'd say it wrong.
If you're from the U.S., yeah, you want to church it
Okay,
up a little
I-
bit, you can say Broder.
Well, I didn't want to offend you. I didn't, I am from the U.S., but try not
That's
to
all
be a
right.
hillbilly every day of my life.
Well, we've all been
Derek
there.
is our guest tonight. Derek is on. He has a podcast, the AMRAD Podcast, which you should listen to, and we'll drop links for all this stuff in the chat. And you've got how many episodes of the podcast? Just one so far, I think.
I got a whopping one episode I did on SWR, so it's a brand new thing that I'm doing. Rebranded the YouTube channel to AMRAD Podcast, so that's something
Okay.
new. Looking to have some people on. Maybe you guys can come on if you'd be willing to do that.
Definitely. Definitely.
So that'll be fun. We'll do some
You
technical
mean
stuff
talk
about
nerdy
antennas.
stuff with other nerds? Absolutely.
Talk nerdy to me, Derek.
Absolutely. Only
Eric
nerd
is
stuff.
also. Oh yeah, Eric's also one of the contributors on Element 14's channel, and you do DC to Daylight on Element 14, right?
Right. Yeah. So DC to Daylight's kind of like a two-part series. So we'll do one episode on a technical topic. It could be a circuit like we did Colpitts oscillators.
Oh, nice.
And then we followed it up with building an actual circuit. So some just engineering stuff, and I'm trying to edge some ham radio stuff in there too as I can. So might be some antenna
Right.
stuff coming up soon.
Right.
Yeah, I saw your episode on tank circuits, and you snuck in your mag loop into.
I did, yeah. A little bit of SDR too.
Cheater.
Like
So
it's a heck of
real-
a mag loop.
Real quick, Jim, you've got the order your Cartena link at the bottom of the screen, and aren't we sold out currently?
We have 5 in stock.
Oh, we have 5, and that's 5 of the linked dipole
Yep,
kits in
hold
stock.
it back up. Hold it. Let me solo him because that's worth soloing right there.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah. How about that?
He fancy.
And some extra
We
stuff in the bag there too.
Absolutely. We have 5 of the Mercuries left.
Oh, you haven't put it together yet. I'm like, what?
Five
That's just the wire
Mercuries
wrapped around the
and
frame.
No Artemises left.
Artemis is sold out entirely.
Artemis
Never.
is
It's been
gone.
retired. Never to happen again. We're going to take the frame from the Mercury. If you've got a Mercury frame, so you know what you're getting, you know what it looks like. And we're going to move all of the Artemis hardware over. So you're still going to be able to get an end-fed half wave. It's going to be on the new frame. And we're giving it a new name. We're calling it Apollo.
Apollo.
It's like there's a theme.
You see it? Yeah. Except you're mixing.
I'm
it
mute
up.
myself. So Apollo was the twin of Artemis, right? And so that's how we came up with that name.
All right. Yes. So we have 5 left of the Mercury, which is the linked dipole. And Eric, Derek, which one did you get? You got both of them?
I got
You got a
Hold on a
Mercury,
second.
I think, because I saw your
hold
name
on
in
a
there.
second. I got the instructions. I haven't put it up yet.
The one you have is the Mercury currently.
Mercury, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dipole, link dipole. Now, listen, I can't hear Jim hardly at all, and maybe it's just me, or maybe it's this tone or something. This tone is all wrong. But if you can't hear Jim, put a 1 in the chat.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
I'm just saying it's quieter than I won't say what, but it's quiet.
I've got. Oh my lord! Is this better? Because then Chuck tells me I'm too loud.
Nope, that sounds much better.
Well, to be fair, Chuck hasn't been on the show since you got the new setup. So
So yeah, why are you hating on
Sure.
Chuck?
I'm not. I'm just, I don't want to hurt Chuck's.
Is this
feelings.
over the shipping mix-up?
No, man. There's no shipping mix-up. It was a shipping problem. It was not a order system problem. Jim's a little low and Ape's a little hot. Ape is not hot. I cannot get
No.
drunk enough to think Ape is hot.
did you know what you were getting yourself into, Derek?
I've been watching the show for a little bit, so I know what I'm getting into.
All right. Feel free to play right along. Act like you're one of the
Right.
crew and you've been here
Mentally
forever.
Been there.
prepared.
Get your feet
Pull
up.
his YouTube channel back up, because I remember like a year ago we were like, "Have you guys seen this current source? Have you seen this fella?" And it was the quarter wave antenna. It was that was the video that got. I think YouTube must have been promoting it or something like that. We all saw.
21,000 views. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I think
Probably the HF one, right?
Yeah, and I think that's when I first found your channel and subscribed. So I don't know about the rest of these fellows.
Oh, I've been watching him on Element 14 for a couple of years.
Yeah, I started in 2018. They were looking for folks to come on and just do technical builds and stuff like that, electronics builds.
Nice.
So they found me through Twitter and asked me to come on board. So that's when we started doing projects. So they had kind of some weird stuff going on. We had the, if you can see the pan tilt thing back there, that was like a planet tracking thing that we were going to do for a demonstration at my kid's school.
Oh, the big white box. Nice.
Yep. So that's actually eventually will be on probably one of the upcoming videos. I'm going to put a couple of
sneak peek
antennas on there, 70 centimeter and 2 meter, and we'll try to do some satellite tracking with that. But yeah, they asked me to come on board, and it started doing those videos in 2018.
I watched the video you did. Well, I listened to your podcast the other day, and then you had a link to one of your YouTube videos from Element 14 on there with the Rubin tube. Is that? Am I getting that name?
Oh,
right?
the Rubens tube, yeah, to show
Rubin's
standing
tube with the
waves.
fire. That was. I'm like, fire and electronics. This is awesome.
Yeah, you can't beat that. So.
Okay, so real quick, my man's got a as-L rotating device. He's got a sheet metal brake, and he's got a flux capacitor.
I
didn't think the camera was going to show my whole office here. There you go.
I got to tell you that brake is sweet. I just imagine all the cool stuff you could do with that.
Yeah, you always have to make something out of aluminum, right? When you're building antennas or whatever, you got to make a bracket. And I've always kind of fiddled around with the handbrakes and using a hammer, but I picked that up a couple months ago, and man, it's awesome.
Is that the guy on the right side? I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Everybody today is like, I'll just 3D print that part, and then it doesn't last for whatever reason.
I'm looking at that bench back there, and I'm seeing an old Tektronix. I think that's a 465.
465.
Maybe I cheated because I saw you use it in a video once or twice, but I could smell Tektronix from here.
Yeah,
And I don't recognize a bunch of the other stuff. What is that thing in the rack? Is that another scope or a spectrum analyzer or VNA or what?
On the top there, it's a DSA, dynamic signal analyzer. So
okay.
Yep.
I mean, you could probably get away with doing the same thing with software nowadays in a sound card, but it's kind of like a spectrum analyzer for DC all the way up to 100 kilohertz. So you can do like THD measurements with audio. You can measure filter responses. It's kind of like a spectrum analyzer with a tracking generator, right? You can sweep across the band and see how the filter changes. So it's pretty useful, at least up to 100 kilohertz.
Some of the other kit you've got there in the lab. That's an impressive lab.
So
it's cleaner than mine too.
I like old test gear in case you haven't noticed, but
me too, man.
DSA, I got the dual power supply, and I got a 4 kilovolt supply down on the bottom there that I just use for kind of fun stuff for Element
4 kilovolt, just in case.
Yeah. We did
you never know,
hot dogs with 4 kV and an SCR. That was a fun video. And pulse generator up there. I've got an old differential voltmeter here. We've got the Tektronix spectrum analyzer and a THD analyzer over here. And somewhere over there, there's a 1 megahertz signal generator. So enough to do some experiments.
Outstanding.
But yeah.
How does it work with Element 14? Do they say, hey, here's a premise, or do they actually give you a script, or do they just say, hey, go make something cool?
Make something cool.
They're pretty open-minded when it comes to, ideas. And as long as it has something to do with electronics, they're, what do you want to do? We have a list going. I just say, I want to do something with the antennas. I want to show people how to use transistors or op amps. Okay, give me your idea. All right. And, nothing really generally gets turned down. They're really cool with everything that we do. So, and they're awesome to work with. So can't complain.
Yeah, they have a great channel. So I would imagine that is a really cool opportunity and experience.
Oh yeah. All you guys on that channel do a really good job. I like watching that channel a lot.
Yeah, that's cool. Everybody, there's a good community on Discord. So, everybody kind of has their expertise. We got people that are into FPGAs. I'm kind of more general electronics radio guy, and there are people that are good with builds and 3D printing. I don't know anything about 3D printing, so
You
Well,
say
that
general
means
electronics
you can
radio guy like it's a bad word.
Yeah, that's right. You're the cool kids, the nerds with the FPGAs, whatever.
Right. Yeah,
We're
we
not
were
sitting at
talking
that lunch table.
FPGAs. We were talking FPGAs today, and somebody in the comments asked if I would do something on that. I'm like, sorry, I'm an idiot. I got to get somebody else in here, so maybe
I
we'll
might
do a
remember what that
collaboration.
stands for, but I couldn't do anything with it. I just watched your op amp video yesterday.
Field
I guess.
programmable grid array.
Yeah, I think it came out yesterday, right?
Yeah, something like that in the last day or two. And that's not the first video you've done on op amps. I still don't understand them a whole lot better, but
Neither do I. It's all right.
you're faking it well, man.
One step ahead, man. One step ahead.
Now you're.
I was
you're
going
a
to say,
ham.
don't let not knowing about 3D printing stop you from telling everybody all about it and that they should own a 3D printer, because I've noticed
That's what
that
Jim does.
seems to be- right,
I
that
knew I was
seems to be
going
the trend with people.
Here we go. Well, he's not wrong. Mr. Ape and I have somewhat of a love affair with test equipment as well. And so, yeah, not knowing how to use an oscilloscope or a spectrum analyzer has not slowed us down. This guy is probably wherever. I can't point that right. There he is.
It ain't me.
Ape's really good with nano VNAs and tiny SAs, and we've both got spectrum analyzers and oscilloscopes, and I have a couple.
See you later,
of old
Lionel.
ones, a couple of old Tektronix, an old pulse generator, an old signal generator. I don't know. Kinda look
Yeah,
at
you
that.
can't. I mean, there's something to be said for the old test gear. You know, if you ever cracked something open like a Tektronix scope or an old HP spectrum analyzer, I
Mhm.
mean, the engineering that went into it's just amazing. So
Right.
even though I don't use some of this stuff back here, it's still cool to have, because you might end up demonstrating the right way to engineer something, to put something together to last.
Well, it's the
On the
same
flip
way
side,
with radio
I mean-
gear, right?
Oh yeah, like the old tube. We were actually on Element 14 gonna collab on a tear down one of the guys does, and we ended up tearing down a little I think it was a little FM ICOM rig or something. And unfortunately we couldn't get our holds on one of the old tube ones. We were looking at stuff on eBay, but the old gear is just
It's priced
built
like
a
it's
tank.
new.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one
But-
thing that I want a VNA so bad, and man, a used old VNA is a couple $3,000 for something that's
Yeah, even the old ones. I mean,
probably not going to fall apart.
the tiny VNAs or whatever, the H4
Nano
whatever it is now,
VNA, yeah.
Nano VNA. I mean, what they can do with that is just amazing. I mean,
It
I've
is.
got a couple. I wouldn't mind having one of the older ones, but I've also checked a lot of the folks that have done comparisons between legit VNAs and the Nano VNAs, and they're actually pretty on target. It's amazing what they can do now with the FPGAs and advanced microprocessors nowadays. So
Well,
But-
there's in the chat, I know there's a couple people who are like, I just don't trust a Nano VNA. And
I
then,
didn't pay enough for it. I can't trust it.
right, it doesn't cost
Yeah.
thousands of dollars. It must be junk. But I'll
Sure.
tell
Good
you, for
evening,
the home
Pamela.
hobbyist, having that level of test gear available is freaking awesome.
I was kind of on the fence too when they first came out, but I watched a bunch of videos. Ginger, honey, and cinnamon.
Apple cider
what is
vinegar.
that?
I don't know how you don't
Oh.
throw up drinking that.
I'm throwing
It's
up
not. It's
now.
not alcoholic. I didn't want to tarnish my reputation. I know people are seeing this brown bottle thinking I was doing something.
Oh, so that's like
My
a health
reputation to
drink.
uphold. Oh yeah, good for you.
Okay.
So is
Actually
anybody
tastes
actually
really
drinking
good.
coffee?
No.
You are.
No.
Diet Dr. Pepper.
So here's
What?
one of the funny things about this show. None of us drink coffee.
Well, yes, we do.
I don't.
All right.
I
Well,
haven't had
not on the
coffee in
show.
years.
Not at 8:00 p.m.
Not in the
There's some
evening.
stuff in
No.
there.
That's
Cafe
mostly
Noir.
just I'm too lazy to make it. I drink it if my wife would make it, but that's
We
not
drink it
gonna
all the way
happen.
until midnight. So
Rock on, brother.
The thing about the Nano VNAs is it's not lab grade equipment, and so people need to get over that. And it's hobbyist, right? Grade equipment. And as amateur radio operators, we're pretty much hobbyists, right? Like, I don't need to have lab grade equipment, and it gets me much closer than a lot of
Yeah.
equipment that has been out on the market for years. It's got a great price point, and it's a good way to learn and grow in the hobby. What gets me is people are like, it's just not precise enough. It's not exact. And to your point, you see all kinds of product demonstrations where people demo it against higher grade equipment,
right.
and it's really not. There's a lot of cases where it's not off at all. So I just think to Tio's point, people get upset about it because it didn't cost enough. I don't know. I don't know what the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I was kind of on the fence, and I watched all those videos of I don't know if it was Alan Walkie or somebody was doing comparisons, and it was like a half a dB off here or there, and it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
If I'm just tuning my
Right.
2-meter antenna,
Perfect.
Right.
you know, I don't have to spend $10,000 to do it.
Close
Right.
enough for ham. That's exactly right.
That's right.
Now, Derek, you're a ham.
Yes,
Avi,
sir.
how long have you been a ham?
So I got my license in '97.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so my first job out of high school was working at Texas Instruments in the fab, and they had a Texas Amateur
Good
Radio
stuff.
Club right across the street. In fact, where they used to make the, you remember the little TI LED watches with the red LEDs?
Yeah.
Same building.
No.
You remember?
You're too young. So
He ain't
so yeah, I
bad.
went and got my they did VE sessions over there across the street, and I got my license in '97. You know, life and all that stuff takes over. I think is true for a lot of hams, and you just kind of fall out of it. But I participated actively in like Skywarn and things like that, probably in the late '90s. Then took a long break, and came back in 2018 with got my general ticket, and got more into HF, which is a completely different world than you know the technician world. But I'm enjoying it. I actually started off with the Kenwood TS440 instead of, you know, because I think a lot of people go out and they buy the biggest and best radio they can get, and then they burn out. You know, this isn't for me. So I wanted to start with something. So I bought a broken TS440 off eBay, and you know, there was a laundry list of things that are typically wrong with it. Went through and, you know, whacked them all out, got it working, and just recently upgraded to EFT DX10 a couple months ago. So
Nice.
Good thing
That's a
Chuck's
nice
not
radio.
here.
I know. I'm glad he's.
We had to have
probably
somebody
watching.
talk about Yezu.
oh, is he, he's the
Right.
resident Yasu guy?
He's the
Yeah.
Yasu.
Yeah,
He's
we're all
the
Icom
Yezu.
fans.
Doesn't matter
He's the
what
Yezu fanboy.
what the topic
Well,
is.
man, I don't know. I'm starting to look at that 705, and it's looking pretty good. So,
Nice radio.
Damn
Especially when you
right.
Mars mod it.
oh,
I don't remember I do remember the watches with the red LED because I had a buddy who had one. But what I remember from TI with red LEDs was the TI 30 calculator.
oh, I got one in the closet over there. Yeah.
Oh man, I don't have mine anymore. I remember my first day of physics class in senior year in high school, and the instructor said, "We're not teaching slide rules anymore. You tell your mom to go get you a TI 30 calculator, or you're going to fail the class. Most of you are probably going to fail anyway, but go get the calculator."
I wonder what
You had
that
to get
was
it.
for back in the day.
TI-81 in college. They were like, that was a standard thing that you had to have in college. Was
Yeah.
Today you see kids on YouTube playing Doom and stuff on them. And
Right.
I was like, man, I couldn't do
This is
that
how
when
you
I was
know.
A
right.
buddy who had an HP calculator that actually took little magnetic card strips, so he could build a program on the card and then swipe it or read it into his calculator. And I don't remember. I think it was a graphing calculator, and this was in the late 70s, so it was pretty freaking advanced.
Never seen one of those.
Yeah, I can't remember the model number. I know it was an HP, but that's all I remember. That was a long time ago.
You should tell that story again, Jim.
No, because I hear crickets now. So
Just no.
just no. So Derek, so now that you're back in amateur radio, what's you're into HF? You still mess with 2 meter? Do you do digital stuff like FT8 or digital voice or?
One of the things coming back was I was kind of surprised that, well, maybe it was just where I was before, but people were pretty active on 2 meters with the TI Amateur Radio Club. You could get on and talk to engineers and everybody that worked there, but I don't know, the whole repeater thing doesn't seem like there's a lot going on, at least not where I'm at. So I don't know if that's a thing that's changed since I came back, or
I don't,
maybe-
that's probably dependent on where you live. I'm in the Montgomery area, and the repeater action here it's crickets. Other than a couple, 3 guys going to work or coming home from work, and hey, how are you? And that's it. And there's nobody on the rest of the day.
yeah, it's funny. People used to get on and on the phone patch, and they'd order a pizza or call their wife when they work from home. I guess
Technically illegal.
things
Get
have
an Uber.
changed.
Things
No,
have
so,
changed a little bit.
I haven't done anything really with digital modes. Not really all that much into that anymore. Although I did see the videos with the is it Sean Kutzko with everything
Satellite
he's doing
stuff.
with satellites. So I'm kind of I've
Yeah.
got the rotator back there, so I'm really itching to make some videos on how to make a Yagi and put that thing on there and write some software. So that might be kind of something
It
fun to
sounds
do.
like an awesome plan.
Well,
So-
the satellite stuff seems like it's, some people go out there and they make it look super simple. And then other people go out there and they make it look like it's the most impossible thing in the world. I've never tried. So I wonder where the truth really lies in the matter.
I've got
I'm
truth
still
is out
trying to
there.
wrap my head around it, because you have, at least for, I know linear is probably a little more complicated because you have more of the Doppler shift and you've got to really tweak your frequencies
Right.
as it's passing over. But I'd really like to try FM.
Mhm.
But and I just found out, I think I've got a Icom 2720H. I think it's full duplex, so you
Nice.
should be able to hear yourself on the downlink on
Yep.
440 while you're transmitting. So
I
I
just
want to give
bought
that
a
a try.
That's where I'm going. I bought a used Yaesu FT 847, I think. I think I got the number right. And it does the same thing. It has full duplex VHF, UHF, so you can uplink on one and downlink on the other and hear yourself. That same.
I guess it's not necessary to have the full duplex to hear yourself, but it does help to know that you're at least getting into
Right, that you're hitting the satellite, and
Yeah.
opening up the repeater on it. Plus, the other thing is, so depending on what you're doing with the HTs, finding a good HT that's full duplex is getting to be more of a unicorn hunt.
Yeah, I don't think there are a lot of people making. I don't know if anybody's making a full duplex HT.
I
Right?
don't think they are.
Well, even if they claim they do, everybody wants to debate. Is it really full frontal duplex, or is this just, it turns into a big debate.
Yeah,
I think the
it's
pros
dual
like to use
receive,
the 817 stacked on top of each other, right?
but,
I think that's what Sean was using,
Kutzko
right?
uses,
Yeah, the 817,
That sounds
818
right.
in a nice stack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of on a budget, so I don't know. We'll see.
Right, we'll get two
Well,
fangs.
That 847 is not expensive, and it's cheaper than two 817s. And so I've got mine. I don't have the right antenna yet, because I'm going to have to get some kind of dingus to aim it and all that. But I've got so with Ham Radio Deluxe, it has a satellite tracker function in it,
Right.
so it will manage the Doppler shift on the frequencies as the satellite passes over.
So you got cat control, and it does everything for
Mhm.
you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's moving the frequencies as the bird you're tracking goes over.
Right.
It'll tell you, hey, the next pass of this list of birds, whatever you want to look at,
Yep.
is coming in, AOS is in 5 minutes and yada, yada, yada. So it's pretty cool. Oh, there's a couple.
TJG7T.
Oh no, that means we have more people watching than likes. So if
Oh, okay.
you folks could,
I was like, I didn't do that. I mean, I have some buttons over here that I haven't
Right, so
played
if you-
with yet, but
if you folks who haven't yet hit the like button, it would help James out. So
yeah, that's right. It certainly would.
We're trying to free James from YouTube jail. And how you got me calling him James? Sorry, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I meant Jimmy.
Oh my Lord, Jim, for the love of God, Jim. James was when I got in trouble. When my mom used James or my middle name with it, it was the level of trouble I was in. So
mhm.
the more names I got, she called me, the more trouble there was going to be. So
Right, the more you knew it was going to count.
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I want to do the satellites. I've got an Arrow antenna, and I was gonna lash it onto a mast the other day on the weekend, and I realized that antenna is not really designed to go on a mast at all. It's designed to be handheld. It doesn't
job,
have
Dave.
any way to hook that thing to a mast.
So what are you going to do? Put this Yaesu 847 or whatever it is, like on a shoulder strap, and go out there and work it, and then have a laptop with the
son.
Ham Radio Deluxe and hold the
You've
Arrow
heard of-
antenna like this. And
You've heard of folding tables, right?
if I guess, I don't know, but I mean,
No.
you got to be agile when you're out there, because you never know when them birds are going to turn
Yeah,
and all
it's
that
gonna
stuff.
be-
One of those things.
It's
He's
gonna
got a
be in
kid.
the shack with a rotator like he's got back there, so it can track the satellite, and Jim can track his behind in the big chair in the air
He's-
conditioning.
He's got a kid. Point that antenna. Follow this thing on the iPhone.
There you
That's
go.
right. That's right. I still want to do. I'm going to do the
She'll love
HT
it.
stuff, and oh my Lord, see what you guys have started. Oh my Lord. I'm never gonna live this down. Good
Love it.
grief.
Mike's a tough
So
guy,
have you
though,
done
so-
FT8 at all, Derek, or not?
Yeah, so I did a lot of FT8 on the Kenwood 440. So I
I
got
don't know why we're not FT8ing right now.
did all my cables and everything for that. And for the Yaesu, the FTDX10, I had a little bit of trouble setting up the audio and all that for FT8, but I got it going the other day. And then I connected to my vertical antenna that you saw in that YouTube video.
Mhm.
And I had turned that into a trap vertical and used coax and just found out yesterday that it's shorted out. So it's resonant on about 9 megahertz now.
Oh, perfect.
Which ain't going to help me too much. So I built a new trap, this one with capacitors instead of coax and inductors. So
Well, hold on. Let's
This
get a
will go out
zoom in
there.
on that action real quick.
Hold on. Show that
Yeah,
off.
look at that.
sure got some
Ooh.
doorknob caps and
Nice.
an inductor. So
Nice.
we'll get that out there, and I'll be on 14 and 7. So
And you put that on what antenna? You said the coax antenna that you did, or the
I did that
Drooled off of
quarter
my
wave
face.
vertical out in the backyard there. And I didn't put that. I don't think I did a video on the trap.
I don't recall, but it's been a while since I saw it.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
Yeah.
When you were registering for a call sign, did they not have AA0AA? What's the story there, my man?
AE0AA.
Yeah, Andy
His-
just got him a
his-
new call sign.
His call sign is AA0AM.
He says ready in the morning. That's all that means.
Yeah,
That's right.
he likes working AM radio. None of this SSB. SSB is killing ham radio.
So you're going to use
FT8
use that
radio.
trap somewhere along on the vertical element so that it looks electrically shorter for the other bands. Then
Yeah. So I'll cut it for 20 meters first, and then I'll stick that on the end and just whatever it resonates on for 40, which will probably be a few extra feet. Then
Gotcha.
should be good. And I think that'll be a little more efficient than the coax. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll do a video on that one.
how much juice are you pushing through that? That looks like a heck of a trap you got there.
I'm just putting 100 watts through it, but
Nice.
yeah, these actually came from Ukraine, so I wasn't sure if they're actually going to get here when they did. So.
They made it here.
Yeah.
They made it here. So you're a robotics guy?
Yeah. So
I think from reading your QRZ page, I was like, dang, son, that's pretty cool.
yeah, I kind of got to start, like I said, out of high school with just running machines at TI and kind of working my way through that. And now just write software and applications engineering stuff for semiconductor robotics. So the equipment that goes into the clean room usually has a robot in it to handle the semiconductors, and I write software for those, do training, help with installs if anybody needs one, post-sale support, all that fun stuff. So
Right.
a little bit of everything.
It's cool.
And
So
sometimes
we brought Derek on the channel here, and he's raised our cumulative IQ into triple digits finally.
I already feel it.
How did I do that?
I'm way smarter than I was before we started.
Well, I've learned a lot from you guys from your videos about.
Oh my Lord!
How back
We
in
make
the-
most of the stuff up as we go, to be honest with you.
That's
If you
what
can't
YouTube
dazzle them
is.
with details, baffle them with BS.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
I'm trying to straighten out the pins on this. What is this? A socket, IC socket. It's all bent to heck. It's driving me crazy. Don't they have? They make a machine for this, right? Like, don't they have something that can?
I think Radio Shack. Now I'm showing how old I am. They actually had a little thing that you could squeeze the pins in.
I remember that thing. I've got one in a drawer or
Yeah,
a
a
box
little
somewhere.
spring-loaded thing.
Yep.
So I learned today that Radio Shack came back, and now it's a troll company.
Is it?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
they sell Bitcoin or some kind of sketch.
Yeah.
Their name got sold like 50 times in the last 10 or 15 years.
I thought Adafruit had it for a minute.
they might have. I don't.
There was
remember.
something on Twitter where she had some certificate or something. I remember that going around. I don't know.
Well, wasn't Radio Shack Express a thing for a while?
Yeah.
Yes, it was
Was
like
that
a
a thing?
tiny
What was
Radio
that?
Shack kiosk. Or
That
something.
only sold cell phones. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, no,
that
they
was
would
the
have like a
beginning.
Radio Shack Express, like in the back of some, like a Verizon
Yeah.
wireless store and stuff like
Yeah.
that. You could find them.
That was when they started to jump the shark. Yeah.
I never did like how they wanted to get your PII when you went in there.
Every time.
I'd be like, I'm just trying to get some batteries, son. And he's like, well, I need your zip code. Like, no, you don't.
Them and their batteries.
Oh yeah, the battery
Yeah.
of the month club.
Battery of the month club.
Yeah, that was a thing. I remember that.
And the
Now,
$10
you know, I mean,
resistor packs.
the best place, I don't know where I would go if I had an emergency cable need on a Saturday or a Sunday, right? You know, like, oh, geez, I need a 1/8-inch stereo to 1/8-inch mono wire, and I don't have the parts to make one.
I'd go to Ohio.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like, where am I going? In Montgomery, Alabama, there's probably no place I can buy
I'd go to Ohio
on a weekend.
You need to have the parts. You just need to keep the parts bin supplied there. So that's what's up.
My parts bin is tight. It's tight.
Expand the junk box.
It's spread out over 5 or 6 or 8 different boxes. But my parts
got
bin
about
is there.
completely unorganized.
Yeah. I got the parts, but that's what I'm saying. Because like Radio Shack days, man, it's like, oh, I need this double RCA to 1/8-inch stereo cable, and it's Sunday afternoon, so I'm heading to the mall, baby. I'll be back in a little while. And you can't do that anymore anywhere. I don't think there's any place like that around here. Certainly.
Yeah, we got a place called Skycraft Surplus here, and in fact, that's where I got a lot of this old stuff back here.
Nice.
And they're in downtown Orlando, but they recently moved, and it's like an hour away now. So if I need something, man, it's Amazon.
Right.
But that's the problem. Amazon is how they get you. Like, you need one part, you got to buy 2, right? Or you have to get a 10-pack or something like that.
Mike, are you sure Mauser doesn't have a will call desk? I feel like they do. I am nowhere near Mauser. I have never set foot in a Mauser, but I just feel like it's something they do. I personally love Mauser. What my hot tip trick is for Mauser is go on their website, put everything in your cart that you need, whether it's back ordered or not, whether it's the right part or not. Pay for it with a credit card, not PayPal. They do offer PayPal. Don't use PayPal. I don't have a problem with PayPal, but PayPal and Mauser isn't going to work for this magic. Then you call them on the phone after you put the order in, and they will walk through doing substitution. Yeah, they'll walk through doing part substitutions and figure out part numbers and whatnot. Because if you go in and you search for like a 5 picofarad capacitor or something like that, I'm making numbers up on purpose here. They've got about 500,000 pages worth of results at 50 items per page.
Yeah, that's probably true.
And you sort by price and get the cheapest one.
There's this old gray beard in the back, and he knows all these parts by heart. And you say, "I got a 1912 1492," and he's like, "Oh no, sorry, son, you want the 182736. That's the one that you want." Okay, all right, good. Put 2 of them in the cart. Thank you very much. And then they just show up. It's great. Mauser's awesome.
But if you roll up there with a 6-pack of PBR, they're going to do a will call for you.
Probably
that's my philosophy, right? Just roll up and look, son, I need these parts today, and I got this PBR.
And don't go to the front door. Go to the back door in the warehouse with the PBR.
You call them on the phone. They want your
smoke break.
They want your shipping address. They want your shipping address. You give them back their shipping address.
Right.
Yeah, just leave it on the front desk. I'll be there when UPS gets there.
So we've been doing some builds on the channel that are probably compared to a lot of the stuff I've seen you build, pretty ghetto.
My build quality is exquisite.
I wasn't talking about your build quality. I was talking about the overall technical.
All that matters is if it works at the end.
Well, it did. Mine was trailer park all day. Man, it was horrible. Horrible looking thing, but it did the dingus. We did RF signal strength meters that we built from a QST article from like 2000, I think.
That's true.
Article was published.
No PCBs.
And
I haven't watched it yet.
They came out pretty good. I was pretty pleased with mine. I was like, oh, look at that. It does
right, when mine worked, I was like,
right.
This is my most recent build here. Looks pretty professional.
It sure does.
Is that just a fuse block with
Yeah, so power pole in, power pole out, fuse box. So it's a way to fuse existing wires. It goes in your Go box, does whatever you want to do. These are currently on sale. I got 14 left. So let me know.
Okay, cool.
Tio made that.
I have a strong record of not using fuses.
There's a PCB in here.
Right.
Custom built PCB.
I didn't use a fuse once on back when power amplifiers were popular, throwing them in the back of your car. And that sucker.
You are older than you look, aren't you? You are older than you look.
Did it cause a fire for you, or were you?
It caused a little bit of a fire, yeah.
Yeah, a buddy did that, and he put a stereo system in, and for his fuse, the fuse blew, and he just rolled up aluminum foil and jammed it in there, and started
Perfect.
fire.
Perfect.
Oh.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
So Mike's
Yeah,
asking
I
why
was
2
like-
fuses, and Don in the chat will be the first one to tell me about this. But we fuse the positive and the negative. First off, for art, for symmetry reasons, that makes it all nice and balanced. But
It's important.
there have been a couple of fellow hams on the Toads Discord who have had problems with negative fuse lines, and they blew the fuses. So I wanted to make sure I put one in there for it.
Who? I need names.
Ham Radio Nomad was one, and Don
Right?
N5SKT was another.
That
He says
burned
he
up
has
his
no
van.
idea. No idea what we're talking about.
So I was watching the Castler, and he was saying that you need to have the fuse on the negative in case the main negative to your battery becomes loose and disconnected. Son, I've been driving cars for almost 30 years. I ain't never had that cable come disconnected.
You must be rich.
I've been driving cars longer than that, and it ain't never come loose.
Right.
Yo, I
I've
got
never
a
even
question.
heard of it coming loose. Anybody I know.
What is a crowbar circuit? Derek, this is for you. I'm going to.
Oh,
Somebody
perfect.
told T.O. this.
Yep.
And I'm like, I need to ask Derek that because he knows way more about this stuff than I do, certainly, or Ape or Steve.
So usually you have like
No pressure.
some kind of
No pressure.
some kind of like op amp or comparator to check to see if you have an overvoltage condition in your power supply, and as soon as that triggers, then it'll trigger the crowbar, which is it'll just cause a direct short from the 2 terminals on your power rails, and that'll just cause the main fuse to blow. That's basically what it is. Yeah.
So it's like it's not current over protection. It's more of a voltage.
Overvoltage thing.
It's like a fuse for your fuse.
Throwing
Well-
a crowbar over across the battery terminals, right? It'll
Gotcha.
just blow it.
So
Okay.
why would the fuse itself not solve that problem? Why would you need something in front of the fuse?
Oh, it's really for like an overvoltage. So if your mains voltage were to creep up too high, and you don't want 17 volts going to your transmitter, that'll just.
I tried to
So
explain it
it's-
to these boys earlier. They wouldn't listen. The fuse is for your current, right?
Right.
So it's for voltage, not for amps.
Yeah. So undervoltage isn't really a problem, right? But if you're overvoltage, then that can really damage some stuff
Okay.
inside your equipment.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you, Ape.
Well, I can tell you, undervoltage it generally isn't, but some radios are sensitive to that, right? And you can get some damage around undervoltage. Trying to run a radio with 2 less voltage. That's why I don't use Chinese batteries, which means I don't really use batteries, right? Because
Every
Right.
battery is Chinese.
He rolls his own out of pennies and washers.
right, and lemons. I do make a lemon battery.
Voltaic pile. Yeah. Old
That's
school.
right. I got a Tater battery I did when I was in like 4th grade or something.
There you go.
Baghdad
Get enough of
battery.
those, and you can go QRP.
That's right. QRP.
You're like a truckload
right.
of taters.
So what are your spare time projects? Do you do builds and stuff like that also as a hobby?
Spare time.
I don't, you know.
His spare time.
Robotics
We make
engineers are
YouTube
busy
videos
people.
about stuff, and then we argue about why Steve needs a crowbar circuit or, random things like that. But
Argue lots.
So the
argue.
the trap vertical's kind of been a side project. Some of the stuff, like I just built the MFJ VersaTuner 2. They have a kit version
Nice.
on
Nice.
MFJ. So I was going to do a video on it, but it's one of those projects MFJ stuff's been around forever, right? So it's got that nice old school circuit board that you can tell they taped out the lines and
Right,
everything.
right.
So I was like, you know what? This is going to be my project. I'm going to sit down
It's
and
gonna
just
be
solder it together.
mine.
So that's,
Well, it takes a million times longer when you start recording that stuff, right?
yeah,
Makes it difficult.
100%, because you got the camera right in front of you and you're kind of working around it.
Right,
And
get
it
a
just-
stiff neck. My neck is bothering me.
And oh man, I wasn't recording video or it was out of focus. And you got to go back and redo
Or
stuff.
the mic
so-
was not plugged in, or it was on mute the whole time, and you're like,
Voiceover.
"Yeah, I'm glad that's in the can." Why is
Yes,
the mic
sometimes
laying
I'm-
over there?
I'll be like, I'm fixing to tape this and it'll be awesome. But then I just at the last minute decide, you know what, I just want to be, a ham or something. And I don't want to share it with everybody. I just want to kind of enjoy that, whatever. Enjoy
You selfish bastard.
cussing and getting upset over parts.
There you go.
How dare you? You
But
selfish.
I looked at that kit and I was really
Princess.
intrigued that you can save $10 by assembling it yourself. Like The price difference between the assembled version of that tuner isn't that great. I'm like, that's probably 70 hours worth of work for me.
You know,
So,
that kit's made in Mississippi. All that MFJ stuff is generally made in Mississippi, or at least assembled.
Yeah.
That's probably somebody's 65, 70-year-old grandma smoking Marlboro Reds on her
They are
lunch
down
break,
there.
Yes, sir.
You know,
Actually,
Don't make
did
fun
you
of
see
Thelma.
the,
Don't do
did
it.
you see the video that they did of the tour of MFJ?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen a couple
Yeah.
of them. Good Game
Yeah.
did a tour there, and it
Yeah.
was just regular folk putting that stuff together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man, it was awesome. So yeah, there are people soldering
I
things
want the
together, and that's
toroid
pretty cool.
winder. That's a cool.
Oh yeah.
Right, you got
That's
Clyde
wild.
over there. He's got his cigar
can make
going
one.
and his PBR.
Arduino toroid winder.
Here we're sorting.
that's-
We're sorting parts.
That's another question. So do you, since you're an automation kind of programmer, robotics automation and all that kind of stuff, you mess with Arduinos and ESPs and all those kind of microcontroller boards any, or just for whatever projects you're doing, or?
It depends on what it is. For certain things, like you can do a lot of cool ham radio stuff with like a Raspberry Pi, right?
Mhm.
But I tend to I'm kind of old school, so I kind of steer away from the Arduino stuff. I'm used to just building stuff on a board with a microcontroller, and yeah, old school. So,
Ape's over there
Very
stirring
good.
the pot.
but when there's something like I'm working on something for the bench right now, where I'm showing, I don't know if I can say what it is, but it has to do with motors and speed control. And
Are you under NDA?
yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
But-
I mean, it's fine with us. We don't care.
Yeah, I won't tell nobody.
edit this part out.
You guys just, Derek.
So
go ahead.
at a certain point, it's easier just to write the code part of it
Mhm.
and send the pulses to whatever. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, for some things it's good just to demo something or do something quickly. Instead of building something from scratch, it's going to take you 6 months, right?
Right.
So, but I tend to try to steer people away from it, because the whole problem with Arduino, and I appreciate them for what they are, and it's small single board computers have come a long way. But if you're looking to learn this kind of stuff and make a career out of it, there's such a layer of abstraction with
On the Arduinos. Mhm.
with the Arduinos and the programming. I mean, it's there if you want to find out how interrupts work, how analog to digital converter reads work. You can dig down into the code, but it's all in a single function abstracted. So you're not really, I won't say you're not learning anything, but you're not learning about the internals of the microprocessor.
Mhm.
So if you incorporate that into a product later and your customer asks you to change something, well, what do? Now you have to go drill down through all those functions all the way down to the bare metal and try to figure it out, and to me, it's better to start from the assembly code and work your way up and learn it that way. If you're making a career out of it, if you're just making stuff on your bench, or you're trying to control your rig or something, or make a sequencer for an EME amplifier or something, then Arduino's fine.
Well, that's the thing, is that Arduino, and maybe I'm wrong, but I was under the impression that they were really more developed for hobbyists who couldn't do the stuff that you're talking about, right? And so it made electronics and making and all that stuff accessible to regular people. What you have now is that I want to say consumerism, but that's not the word. You've had companies who start to say, hey, well, I can take this and build a product around it because I don't have to pay engineers and do R&D and all of that kind of stuff. And then you kind of get into this place where some of these things are difficult to support. They're difficult to upgrade.
Right.
And-
Yeah. Anytime you want to make a change, I mean,
Right.
if you don't know what you're doing, what do you do?
Right.
I certainly wouldn't put it into like a real consumer product.
Well, we just had a guy on, and it was really cool. He was from PrepCom, and he was talking about this Morse code machine that he has. It's basically automation engine or automation machine around Morse code. And it's really cool. And it's, if I'm wrong, to you, tell me. I believe it's centered around an
Wrong.
Arduino.
Yeah,
And
it
the thing is that
8260s. Was
it's
it
not
18
upgraded. It's
mega?
not upgradable by the consumer because of the platform, right? And
Mhm.
so he's talking about the next version will come out next year. Will have all these new features in it. But if you go and it's really cool, and I'm not knocking it. But if you go and you spend $500 on it now, next year you're SOL because you're not going to be able to upgrade it.
Mhm.
Just like your 7300.
Exactly like my 7300, except that Morse code machine doesn't have the overload light that comes on all the time.
Don was
I
waiting for you to say
saved you,
that.
Don. I saved that for you, Don.
That is a nod at Don right there.
He's
Yeah,
right,
I
though.
mean,
He's right about
Yeah,
that.
Derek. Now you've been doing that kind of stuff. That's your whole jam from like high school, from what you're saying.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
I've always
I've
kind
been
of
an
been
IT
into
guy forever, and I think these two also. But I mean, that's all I've ever done is IT stuff, but not hardware.
I'm a landscape
programming.
architect.
That seems like you were reaching on that one a little bit. My mom said with my skill set, I could have been in food service or sanitation easily. Excel.
With your figure, you could be in food service pretty easily too.
Shut up.
Oh boy, here we go. I'm a mid-level IT manager.
As in
well respected member of the local IT community, but that just means that I'm not technical, so I don't really know what I'm talking about.
I'm a
Nebraska's
technical
IT
manager.
local.
Yeah,
700.
at work, I mostly talk about things that you can't touch, right? I talk about perseverance and dedication and commitment, just all that stuff, and try to. And what I tell
Yep,
people,
you did say mid-level manager.
I'm like, my
those
job
things?
is to radiate leadership, empower people, make them feel good about what they're doing, teamwork, and that's
My job is to keep people from surfing Facebook and porn at work. So I have to check on that frequently.
Does it work?
To make sure
you know all the best ways to do that, right? So that way
I
you're
know.
able
Can they
to.
track that?
I make
You have
sure
to
that
think.
Facebook is still working. You
You have to
I'm just
think
saying.
like your enemy.
That's right. You have to be the bad guy. Yeah, I mean, I've been in IT forever, but I've never done at that kind of level of programming. I did some shareware stuff back in the 90s with Turbo Pascal and the 80s.
Nice.
Ooh,
Yeah. Old? You talking about old school? Yeah,
Old
baby.
school,
Turbo
man.
Pascal 3.
still
I
around,
invented
isn't it?
air. It's probably on one of Steve's computers in that shack of oldness there that he has.
I was just gonna go get it for you. Here, Jim.
Oh my
yeah.
God, there it is.
You got the
Wait,
OG version.
All right, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? It's the same damn size and profile. It's
Right,
huge.
it probably has
Oh
two
my
two
gosh.
floppies in that box.
It's probably about 30. That's the Windows version. I quit programming in TP when they came out with the Windows version.
Yeah, I had
And all
Turbo
my
Pascal
libraries
6 for
had to
DOS.
migrate. And I'm like, nope.
Nope.
See, is this a tripod behind you? What is on the end of that tripod?
It's muffler
Oh,
clamp
okay.
because you need muffler clamps in ham radio, and
Right.
this is not a toilet paper roll. This is the protective sleeve. I mean, that's an industrial roll if it is. It's a protective sleeve that came on top of it.
Some serious toilet paper in Wisconsin, apparently.
What are you doing with that tripod? That looks like a pretty formidable tripod.
So I haven't released the video yet because I'm like way behind schedule, but I built a Teocron. It's like the Geocron, except it's 4 screens instead of 4K. It's 4 cheap old 24-inch TVs that I found at Walmart, and hooked up a couple of Raspberry Pis back when they were cheap. And now I can do bang, 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 4 different things. It used to be in the back of my live streams for a while, and then I moved it over there. So it's on the other
It
side
messed
of the
up your
shack. and
lighting because it was kind of
It did.
weird.
It did. But it works. It does some amazing stuff. It's fun to watch the dashboard, but it's kind of just me sitting in my office by myself while everybody else leaves the house all day long, and I'm by myself.
Right.
So I don't use it much.
You did, Van.
Well, it did
Flicky.
give you a nice tan during the winter.
It did.
Yeah, Turbo Pascal, and I don't think I ever did anything in Visual Basic. So that's pretty cool at the hardware layer. I tried assembler one time, and
Didn't inhale.
no, I did not inhale. And I discovered that the uses for Fortran and COBOL in the PC world were not real strong.
Are you kidding me? There's the COBOL Rangers or the COBOL Cowboys or whatever they're called that came out of the woodwork. These 70-year-old dudes that saved the world economy when the pandemic hit.
Yeah. There, honestly, believe it or not, there is still a lot of COBOL in banking related stuff.
Yeah.
We had an app it's written in COBOL. It's like MS COBOL. And I'm like, oh my God, this is still a thing. You guys have this? It works on a Windows
DB2,
PC?
man.
Yeah.
DB2
I
and
did
COBOL.
I did DB3, DBase 3 back in the day.
DBase
too,
3. Yeah.
when I was in the Air Force.
DB2 is mini computers, AS400s, mid-range
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
There's still
My
a
old
lot
lady
of
was a DB2
Fortran.
programmer. Do what, Derek?
There's still a lot of Fortran floating around the semiconductor world.
Well, that's FT8.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I did not know that, is it?
I believe so.
No, I had no idea.
I have flushed most of my Fortran and Turbo
Yes,
Pascal.
Glenn. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is a rotator. Did you make that rotator, Derek? That was a homemade one?
Yes, he did. Jim, you were here for the beginning of the show.
Rewind.
Glenn, I can excuse. You know, Jim. No.
It's like I'm playing
This
cards with
guy
my
over
brother's
here?
kids.
Yeah, that guy
Yes.
over there.
That's actually, I think that's for a dish, and I got that at the surplus shop. But I did a video on that, and I think I took it down. I might put it back up. I redid the circuit board in there and reprogrammed the firmware to control a couple stepper motors that control the elevation and azimuth. So I will probably bring that guy back to life and try to interface it with one of the ham radio programs. Ham Radio Deluxe has a controller, right? And
Yep.
G Predict, I think, is the one
Yep.
that I've used in the past. So I might
Yep.
play with those. There's a Yaesu. Maybe you guys can answer this. I'm going to emulate a protocol, communications protocol, and I think that Yaesu has 232G or something they call it. I don't know what the most
I don't know.
common rotator is, but
We could probably get you in touch with the sales
Chuck.
rep from Yaesu. Yeah.
Yeah.
With Chuck. Nah. If you
Sales
want,
guy from Yaesu.
might be able to help you out.
so I'd like to be able to just rewrite the software for that and then just plug it into one of those programs and I'll have to worry about it. So I think I've got the protocol around here somewhere. And yeah, I didn't
not,
make
you have a
the
scope.
mechanics, but what's that?
I said, if not, you have a scope.
True.
You don't have the protocol.
Right.
Because that's what I was
The,
told scopes do.
I've seen where people have like a Raspberry Pi controlled engine on a tripod and their Yagi to point at the satellites. And I think it's G Predict that they use, but I'm not sure. But they have a like a web interface that you can go on, and the Raspberry Pi has to be internet connected. But then you go in and you put in the name of the satellite that you want. It looks it up and it uses GPS. You have to have GPS and all that, and it will just do all that for you.
We're going to have somebody on the show who can talk about all of that fancy stuff.
Can they talk about it sensibly, or they just talk about it like I do?
I mean, we can make some stuff up, right?
Right.
She is smarter than all four of us put together, even with Derek's extra 3 IQ points.
Don't be so generous. Now, so actually did that with this right now was designed. It's the videos on Element 14. Maybe I could put a link in there, but it would download the ephemeris data from JPL, loaded into the computer, and then you could I had a little control box, and you could select which planet you wanted to look at, and it would automatically track to it, and it would store the information. So the idea was to take it to my kids' field day in the back of the school. So
That's awesome.
Rain that day, so we couldn't play with it. But the idea was to download all the information and then take it out to the field. So kind of, if I could do the same thing with satellites, that'd be cool.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
That's not the layout that I wanted. Hang on.
So what he's
That's
you
the
got
layout
it?
that I wanted. Yeah. Is it this one, this Raspberry Pi planet tracking thing?
Yep.
Or something else? Okay.
That's the one.
That's an official
younger
looking
in that video.
telescope too. Look at that thing. Looks like a drum.
That's an eBay special. Some guy had it in the back of his pickup truck, and it actually sounds to be a pretty good scope.
Did you meet him down at the
Nice.
at the 7-Eleven or something and pick that up?
He didn't have a tripod or anything. It was just, I guess they call it. I can't remember the name of it. There's an acronym for just the head part of it without the tripod, but got it for a few $100, and it's actually an awesome telescope.
That's a big rabbit hole right there as well.
Yeah,
The telescope space.
I almost got sucked into it, but ham radio is enough.
Yeah, I've almost got it a couple times. We went and stayed with some family, and the dad there, now we were talking. He's like, "Bro, I got this telescope. It's wicked cool." And we got it out. We're playing with it, and immediately the next day, I'm on the Google looking at what is the best telescope for amateur radio. No, I'm just kidding. I was just like, what is just looking at new telescopes for new people, and I mean, it is immediately you're like, well, I want to get the 318-9, but it's you start looking at all these features, you have no idea what they mean.
I had a telescope I bought. Geez, I think I bought it at the BX when I was active duty Air Force back in the 80s. And I carried that thing all around the freaking world with me, and it finally died. I remember one time there was a solar eclipse here, and it was going to be like almost total here in Alabama. This was early 90s. And I brought it to work, and I set it up with three of the other dorks at the office with me. And my now wife, who was then not my wife nor my girlfriend, was outside looking at the solar eclipse with, their little cardboard thing over their shoulder or whatever. And me and this other guy, we have the telescope set up, and it's shining on a white plate on the end of the eyepiece or something. And she called us nerds. I married that woman.
So when that happened, all the people in Alabama are wondering, where did the sun go? The sun's
No,
gone.
Oh, man.
I'm just kidding,
Yeah, no, this
Alabama people. So I got this in the
And
mail
she's
today.
not my sister either, okay?
Right. She ain't no kin.
Cousin.
Third cousins do not count.
I got this SMA dummy load. It's right here. It's supposed to be 50 ohms.
Oh, in
And,
the package, not the thing behind the microphone.
There's two dummy loads in the picture. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see if I can put my hand here.
Let me embiggen you there.
But the rating on it is see, it says 50 ohms plus or minus 0.5 watts. So it's like, I'm not
Sounds
familiar
like
how
that.
to
Translation.
Are those watt ohms or ohm watts?
I'm not a 100% how to interpret that, but it's okay.
That's one of those imaginary numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, somebody had posted a picture of a prescription bottle that says, take 3 drops by mouth, in your eye. It says take 3 drops by mouth in your eye every day for 1 week. I was like, what does that mean? But that seems like it's legit. We'll have to see how it works out.
Doesn't look like SMA to me.
It right here is the SMA connector.
What's the other side? Like a heat sink or something?
Yeah, it's like a little bit of a heat sink. So it's like this is
Like a rook.
this is the 50 ohm dummy SMA dummy load for an NOVNA.
Mhm.
But you're not pushing 5 watts through an NOVNA. So because it's 5 watts, you need a little bit more metal. But I got to tell you, I can spin either end of this opposite directions, which makes me a little bit concerned. So we'll have to see how well it works. I'd imagine it gets relatively hot.
If
But,
it's connected,
What's that?
is it even connected? Is it just a dummy load?
I have no idea.
If only we had some way to test it.
Yeah, we have to do some
Right,
official
like-
testing. Well, I mean, I'm not sure how long I can pump 5 watts in it, but I suppose
Until the smoke comes out.
I suppose what I could do is I could connect this up to an SWR power meter, push 5 watts
Right.
into it, watch the SWR meter, and then see if this overheats and fails at some point in time. I don't know. Maybe do a video on that. We'll see.
We're doing a show on Saturday morning on test gear and how to use it to do different stuff. So that's gonna end up being a 2-part show.
It might even be.
Nate
It might
came
even
up
be
with a
more
gr-
than that.
I was thinking it may go to 3 because that's a lot of stuff in there.
Monthly.
Well, we could do it. We could do it monthly. But, we're gonna kind of walk through a progression of
Stuff.
simple stuff from multimeters to an LCR meter to nano VNAs, tiny essays, oscilloscopes.
Everybody was new once. Y'all can help us help the newbies.
right.
Or you could be a newbie and learn with us.
Or how to
Well, I think that a lot of people will get, have tools that they use all the time, but they don't know other functions or features of it, right? Like a
Right.
multimeter is a great example. Where for years I just used a multimeter at work to test batteries, right? Because like at work, everybody would always complain about the battery in their mouse. I needed a new battery, or the battery in the UPS, or the battery in the. So I just got a multimeter and I'd go around testing batteries with it all the time. And then, but some people might not know how to test current, for example, or continuity, or whatever it is. Like somebody's like, my power cord's bad, and they just didn't know that you could do that stuff.
Well, what's interesting is like with a lot of meters, the one I used most of the time, I've got a new one I haven't really put into production yet, but I got a pros kit. It's the one Electro Boom uses. It seemed like it was decent. He hasn't blown his up yet, so that's kind of the gold standard there. He hasn't lit it on fire. But it does like a bunch of LCR stuff too, and I bet there's a whole lot of people that might want to mess with electronics but don't realize that meter will do some fairly complex measuring.
LCR, inductance, capacitance, resistance.
Yeah. It also checks the temperature, and I think it's a dB meter. I can't remember.
Will it tell you if you have a cold?
It will tell you if your oil's low. Does it check
Right.
oil too, or?
Right. But it's a pretty and it's like a $50 meter, and there's probably 1,000 meters on Amazon, from 5,000 different Chinese companies that are mostly the same meter, but they are
Buy this meter. It's best,
rebranded. That's right.
best meter.
Honest Dude's House of Fish and Meters Inc. And then next week they're selling telescopes and rims for your car. But they all do a lot of more functions than a voltage measurement kind of thing. So
We're going to have Don on the show in a couple of weeks. He's going to explain the ODF2 standard.
ODF2. I don't even know what that one is.
Don does.
Okay.
Well, I think he's talking about outer dense fiber protein. I don't necessarily know if that's what he's talking about, but cytoskeletal cells and stuff like that. Don, let us know if that's what you're talking about or not.
Is he talking about OBD2? That's the CAR protocol.
Oh, okay. I'll take it back then. I thought he was talking about something
I don't
else.
know. It might be fiber. Don's old enough that fiber is important.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, it may be. I don't know. So anyway, we're gonna do a series of shows on that, and I think there's a lot of
Series of
things that you
tubes.
can do, with a lot of test gear that they may people just don't know how to do. And Ape was talking about testing current. What's the difference between current and voltage? Do you realize what that difference is? We all kind of got schooled today with Steve and his crowbar circuit, because I'd never heard that term at all. Makes perfect sense now. Never heard that. Been messing with DC electricity for a long time, but never heard that term. And
I don't
Derek
think
knew what it
it's-
was.
I don't think it's super common. I did a video on it, so and the only reason I did a video on it is because it's on that old power supply back there.
Okay.
I don't think you see it. I don't think you see it a lot in the new power supplies. I think the voltage regulators are, have a different method of monitoring that nowadays. But
it was
pretty
really
common.
cool, and I'm glad you knew what it was. Ape was
Well-
right, and I thought that probably made sense. Of course, sometimes Ape makes stuff up just to mess with us. The Earth is not
It's
flat.
not just sometimes. Well, like a lot of the flashlights, I'm really into flashlights, have over and under voltage protections in the flashlights to prevent the lithium batteries from venting, right? Especially if they have a charging device built into the flashlight, you don't want to overcharge or undercharge. But they also build those. They build a BMS board into the battery itself, into the battery wrapping is another thing. So
Right.
I don't know if they do it this, like to your point, Derek. I don't think that they do it the same way these days. But I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I'm not an expert in that space.
yeah, I think the BMS stuff, at least for lithium ion, is mostly for over voltage protection when you're charging, and they have a threshold for the lower voltage. So if you don't want to go too low, or else you won't be able to charge that battery again. You got to
Correct.
be careful, because when you buy those batteries from overseas, usually they'll just be like one letter or number in the part name. One battery will have the BMS and one other part number will not. I've gotten bitten by that before. So
You can probably tell by holding the battery, the length of the battery. Because like I've had devices where I've tried to put a BMS battery in there and it won't fit, right? I'm like, dang that, but there's all kinds of problems with those batteries. Like some of them are like, oh well, the button top fits, or the flat top fits, but the button top doesn't. I'm a registered member of Candle Power Forums myself, Lon. And as a matter of fact, I believe I'm a member of the Budget Light Forum. But I used to be crazy about flashlights. But those high power flashlights are super dangerous because everybody wants them to be waterproof. They talk about waterproof. They want them to be water submergible, right? So no water can get in and out of those flashlights. So you have this battery that is built to vent in the event that there's problems with the battery, but you have it in a sealed aluminum vessel.
Fire tube.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's a
Great.
pipe bomb.
yeah,
It's a pipe bomb. Is exactly what it is.
Oh crap! Sorry, Jim.
I know. There goes. I'm dead.
You'll never be monetized now. And the thing is that they can explode. And I remember on those forums reading, dozens and dozens of cases where people have had a flashlight that they've left on and it's gotten super hot and they picked it up and burned their hands. And so there's all kinds of reasons why you want to have protections in those batteries.
People
Some of those
frighten me
batteries
with
on the
batteries.
budget light form, they don't, the budget lights don't have that protection built in. So be careful with some of those.
People frighten me with batteries. One of our senior administrative personnel today comes to me and he said, I need a new battery for my hotspot. He lives kind of in the boonies and doesn't have real internet. So he's got a Verizon hotspot he uses. And I said, well, why do you think you need a new battery? And he holds it up and said, it's swollen so much now that it won't sit flat anymore. And this battery, which is normally like about a 1/4 inch thick, flat pack kind of battery, this son of a bitch is like 3/4 of an inch. It's huge. And he said, I said, how long is it? Well, it just swelled up that much today. It's been swollen for a while. I'm like, my God.
Said, I've been pressing it real good and it won't go back.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. And this guy's got probably more money than God or close to it. And he lives in a really nice house on the river. I mean, very nice place. And I'm like, son, you could have burnt your whole entire crib down, totally. I took it out and I threw it in the dumpster outside. I said, well, at least it won't burn anything important out there. But people are crazy with batteries. And, I shouldn't have thrown that battery in the dumpster. But
Hey, you just reminded me that my battery is bulging in the my Nano VNA.
Is it?
I can check
Oh,
it
is
out. Yeah. The boards are getting pushed apart.
Uh-oh. I had that happen with a MacBook. One of my MacBook Pro did that. I came into work one morning. I had left the computer at work, and I came into work one morning and started to log in, and something in the computer's rocking. I'm like, what the hell?
Keyboard's bulging out.
Yeah, that battery had swole up overnight.
Yeah, I had a battery pack like when they first. I mean, this is probably 10 years ago, and it swolled out all fat. I had no idea what was going on. It was like when you could start buying there's rechargeable packs you plug in the wall, and then you can take it around and be like, I've got chargeable in my pocket, and it blowed up.
And one of those Samsung batteries.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because
I got
Samsung's the only company that's ever done that.
Right.
you remember, and you guys have probably all been to enough trade shows where the vendors would hand out, especially in the early 2000s, when those battery packs started to be a thing everywhere, and the vendors would hand out small ones.
Mm.
Like little, I don't know, probably about an inch and a half square, and about the height of a AA battery or something, with a USB charge connector on it. And I had one of those, and I plugged my iPhone into it, and I don't know why. I think I picked it up to move it, and the battery pack was, smoking hot. It wasn't smoking, but it was ouch hot. But I was amazed at that. Absolutely amazed.
Well, they give all these things out at those events, and they're like, "Oh, plug your phone in here," and I'm like, "Nope, you're not getting my personal information or my internet history." I get that I'm a little extra crazy about it. Like, I would never be the guy. Like, you see these people at the airport, and
Dude,
they're
we're
like
not judging you about the goat thing, okay? I mean, that was the one time
I am.
the police didn't file charges, okay? I mean, it's okay.
But you see people at the airport, and they're like, "There's a USB
He's
port."
never
and they
allowed
just
that
go,
Home Depot again.
they just go and
Right.
plug their phone right into those USB ports right on the side. I'm like, they just got all your pictures, son.
Including the ones with the goat.
Yep. Yes. So anime, we will cover that tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow, Saturday.
Saturday.
I've been a day ahead all week. Like I've been, I keep thinking today's Friday. Yesterday I kept thinking it was Thursday. You know what I mean?
If you guys have any questions in the chat, have any questions for Derek, y'all need to drop them. We're coming to the end of our happy time here.
I don't know if I can answer them, but I'll try.
Well, I mean,
Yes,
you
you
know,
can. You got this.
Derek has
Any more
listened. Y'all
crowbar
need to
circuit
watch
questions?
Derek. I've been watching his stuff for, I guess, a couple years at least, and he does a lot of cool stuff. And
That's
he
funny
knows
because
way more about oscilloscopes than me or Ape. Just saying.
Yeah. I can just turn mine on.
Without electric.
that's all I can do. I just plug the wires in and turn it until it looks right on the screen. That's all.
Bro, are you
That's all
kidding
I
me?
do.
That's how I learned. That's right. It's like, hey, I can make sense of that now.
Just turn the knobs.
Right.
So yeah. So another thing I'm working on is I'm getting a little more into HF, and I I don't know. I think I mentioned this in the videos. I live in an HOA, so compact antennas are kind of a thing. So I don't have the mag loop out here right now, but I'm working on a mag loop controller. So this will be something that I'll definitely be doing videos on. So touch screen and your antennas plug in here, and power goes through the Ethernet cable to the motor controller and the mag loop. So I'll go through all that. In fact, I'll probably end up doing a podcast on that next if people are interested in checking out AMRAD Podcast.
Absolutely.
Probably no interview on that one, but we'll just talk about a lot of the technical points and how to make a mag loop and some of the concerns.
So you'll be able to control your capacitance, your variable capacitor on your mag loop remotely.
Yep.
And will that do that over the coaxial cable, or will you need to run a control cable as well?
So there's a control cable. A lot of the issues with the mag loops that you see with the controllers that people are making with Arduinos and things like that, not knocking Arduinos, just
Not this time.
They'll not in this instance, but they'll take the motor controller and leave it in the box, and then they'll try to run 100 feet of cable out to their antenna.
Right.
You have to do is separate the communication from the driver, so the driver actually sits at the antenna, and then I'm using RS485, which is a differential signal. So you can technically run 4,000 feet out to your antenna. So I'm going to test it out to like a couple hundred feet, see if I can do that. I'm sure I'll have to have a bunch of chokes on everything, but that's the idea. So
Ape loves him some chokes, Derek.
Yeah, no, that sounds awesome. Will you be able to use cat control to do that, or will you have to manually still tune it with that interface that you were just flexing?
I'm not 100% sure if I want to do cat control in this yet. For right now, I'm just going to have it to where you press the button, it auto tunes.
Gotcha.
I would ultimately like to have it set up with cat control, but then I have to go through all the protocols for every radio or somehow integrate ham live into it, right? So
right.
I'm on the fence on that. But if you guys got any ideas,
no, we're not judging.
I got ideas.
I want to.
That's way cooler. Listen, Ape and I made field strength meters, and we both just about peed ourselves.
It was 5 parts. It was 5 parts in that circuit. I just want to make that clear so everybody knows 5 parts.
I saw that one. I haven't watched it yet, but that'd be something cool to have. And
the beauty of it is, really, you just plug it into any multimeter you have, and you have a relative field strength meter. It's pretty cool. And then last night I made what did I make last night, Abe? What was that thing I made? A rectifier.
I thought you were talking about the casserole you made. Did you make a casserole?
Not the casserole. No, she made the casserole, the mystery crockpot thing. We're not talking about that.
She's watching, Jim.
That was cat food.
She's watching, Jim.
Why are you heating up? She ain't watching. She might be listening to me, but she ain't watching.
Your wives watch this stuff?
No. I'm going to try to trick. I have an 11-year-old. I'm going to try and trick the kid into using a GMRS radio. Look, honey,
He's a trick.
Talkies.
Don't explain it to her. Just push the button and talk to her.
That's right. I live out in the county anyway, so it's like she doesn't even need to identify. No one cares, honey.
Wait till she tunes up on the local repeater and starts talking to the 25-year-old down the street.
Oh,
it's going to be a felony.
There ain't no 25-year-olds on that repeater.
No, there ain't. There's not.
Just trying to keep it in the same decade.
We just had a new GMRS repeater. And I say new, it might have been 2 years ago. I have no idea when it went up, but I just noticed locally we have a new GMRS repeater.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, me too.
Really? I mean, I don't know what they're talking about on there. I mean, it's going to be people driving by on the interstate. CQ interstate traffic mobile. And it's not.
I mean, Nebraska sounds like a hotbed of RF activity. I mean,
right.
Up here in Luck, we got nothing.
It is. Well, South Central Nebraska, we got gentrification going on. It is rapidly expanding. It's a lot. It's up and coming.
Can you say gentrification on Jim's channel, or is Jim going to get canceled?
As far as I know, it's an okay word.
This week, who knows? Guys, we are at the end of our hour. And I appreciate all of y'all coming. What's going on our channels coming up? Derek, what have you got going next? What's next for you?
Oh, with my own personal channel, the AMRAD Podcast thing, rebranded from TCS to AMRAD Podcast. Identity Crisis. We're going to be doing more ham radio stuff. We're going to be doing antennas, a lot of measurements, how to use the test gear back there to tune antennas and just build stuff. So it's going to be, I think it'll be pretty cool. We're working some electronics.
You've got a
Somebody said that earlier. Jim's got a new bromance. I'm like, shut up.
Don't out Jim.
Steve, what have you got going besides being
So-
a jerk?
I got these fuse kits that I'm working on, and I got 15 of these fellers left. There's a new video on my channel today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be on the Ham Radio DX channel, same time as this one tonight. We're talking with Glam Ham Radio. She's a TikToker. She's an all-star from TikTok, and we're going to find out what makes her TikTok.
Wasn't she the one? Was she on Ham Radio Clubhouse?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Right.
Well,
We've seen
Chuck met her first, though.
yeah, I was gonna say, is that the lady that Chuck met at?
I think that's the one Chuck
Quartz
met at
Fest.
Pacificon or Quartz
Quartz
Fest.
Fest.
Okay.
Quartz Fest. Chuck met Anime at Pacificon, and he met in
That's right.
Glam Ham Radio at Quartz Fest.
Chuck's
Yeah, I was
meeting a
talking
lot of
to,
ladies. I mean, was Mrs. Chuck with him when this was all going on? Because I'd be concerned.
Everybody loves Chuck.
Chuck told his old lady a dog got to roam. I mean, she knew it when she married him. So with the
Okay.
I can't even stop. I crack myself up sometimes. I'll tell you that. I was talking to Hayden this morning, and he's like, "Crikey, we got the Glam Ham coming on the show tomorrow night with
Crikey,
TM,"
mate.
and he was telling me all about it. So
Spot on.
Spot on. Spot on. Excellent. Oh, my Lord. All right, guys. Well, we're at the end of our show. I appreciate y'all stopping by.
thanks
One
everybody.
of these
in chat.
days, I'll be
Appreciate
out of YouTube
Say
jail,
bye.
and I am going to hit the bye-bye button. So now is the awkward time.
The final.